So welcome everyone by my side as well. As always introduced, Merlijn Ekkel is the name, and I'm Director BI Solution in our go-to-market team, where we have a close relationship with product management. And today's webinar will be all about what is new in BI 4.2, so the upcoming minor release of the SAP BusinessObjects BI 4.x Suite. Of course, it can always still change depending on a lot of factors, so I have still to show the legal disclaimer that there may be some features being dropped out due to quality issues, stability issues, whatever reason. It may be that features that we discussed today as being planned for 4.2 will at the end not make it in the final shipment. Quick high level, what is the target audience? Basically everyone that wants to know what is happening in 4.2. We assume you have some knowledge about BI 4.1 and previous version. It's a mid-level feature overview. We have an L2 deck available as well, where there's a lot more information, but in the fact that we only have an hour to talk about, we'll just go through it in high level. If there are deep level questions, I may reduce you and reassign you to the L2 deck. So why are we still working on a BI platform? What is there still? The challenge that we see in the market still is that the vast amount of data that starts being created around the world, social media, big data, all kind of information sources are to be explored nowadays, which only increase the complexity of BI. And although BI is a very mature product, BI is not always designed necessarily to deal with this large amount of data. That is exactly the factor that we within SAP are working against, to enable our well-established BI platform to work with the latest trends. So it's designed to work on transactional data, but also on social or even on the Internet of Things data. So vast amounts of data still being visualized through well-known and the world's #1 BI solution. So where are the challenges that IT is currently facing? Various data sources, classical relational, in memory, Twitter, Facebook, social media topics. The challenge for IT is how to manage these data sources. But also on the other side, the business has been changed. Previously, business was like, oh, we'll just get a report, I'll deal with it. Nowadays, business want to have control of their own. And that creates a gap within the two worlds. And that gap at the end results in creation of data silos. The business starts extracting information into a satellite system and start working on that one. And by that taking the risk that quality of data, single point of truth, becomes blurred. And that part will only go bigger. With the introduction of agile visualizations like the SAP Lumira product, the number of users today that are using analytics is still a small part of the organization, and that part that's using analytics today will only start growing and growing as being forecasted by Gartner. So with the agility, the need for IT and the need for business to become easily consumable with BI solutions is going to be a bigger and bigger challenge. And that is exactly where we are playing against with the BI 4.2 suite. So where are we building on? We currently, within the analytics strategy, keep innovating the core products. So the well-known SAP BusinessObjects BI platform, as well as the EIM and the EPM portfolio. In the meantime, in parallel, we are re-engineering our solutions to be well running on a cloud solution, which by that delivers the innovation that can help you simplify, enhance, and extend the platform without disrupting your existing environment or your existing investments. The 4.2 provides you advantages by using solutions like Web Intelligence, Design Studio, and SAP Lumira into a single integrated platform, and by that enables you to reduce the cost of IT, increase the responsiveness of business, and decrease the overall workload throughout the organization, and by that driving better decision making within your organization. It's a lot of text in the slide. It's a very interesting story. And we all started off a few years ago with the simplification message of our landscape. And we are already quite well in that direction. So on the left side we have the areas that we typically cover: data discovery and analysis, dashboards, applications, office integration and reporting. Within the middle column basically the existing products based on the old core. On the right side we only see 6 products: Lumira, Design Studio Applications, Design Studio, Analysis Office, Crystal Reports and Web Intelligence. That is our future investment. It's not saying that the products on the left side are being sunset or decommissioned. It only means they move into maintenance mode. We're not ongoingly investing in those products anymore in the near future. And enabling our portfolio with these 5-6 products will enable to embrace all the users within the organization. On the left side, supported by administrator, designer and analyst, we can help out the decision makers to be on their own, but still being supported by the left side of the organization. And that enables enterprise BI and trusted data discovery provided by one single product or suite, which is the SAP BusinessObjects BI 4.2 suite. It has a very extensive, well-known, well-established enterprise BI solution using a lot of standards, enables sophisticated design, enables governance, and enables an easy platform for consumption. But on the other side, it also enables you to deliver trusted data discovery. It enables you to provide self-service solutions to business users, but still have the ability from an IT point, from a designer point, or from an analyst point to keep control what they are doing without completely blocking or limiting the business side of the world in doing their daily job. And both integrate into a single platform, which is the Enterprise BI platform. And of course we can connect to any kind of data source. The SAP BusinessObjects BI Suite connects into around 160 different data sources that are supported by the platform. Some products are more feasible for one solution, the other products may be feasible more for a different kind of data source, but we support around 160 data sources by the 4.2 suite. So where is the added value of having a single integrated BI solution instead of having a traditional enterprise BI solution and a standalone visualization engine? We learned during SAP value engineering exercises that it decreases the costs of BI with about 36% if you consolidate multiple BI solutions into a standardized enterprise-wide portfolio. We also learned that if you have a single solution where you can combine all the information required, it has a 24% higher adoption rate within the organization, and by that enable your organization to drive and better manage your business. And it also learned that typically it meant that organization will have 10% more information on the right time when they need to make their decisions. So additional value, what can be provided by the SAP BusinessObjects BI 4.2 portfolio by integrating enterprise BI and trusted data discovery, or agile visualizations, as it's also called in the market. So where are we ongoingly keep investing in as an analytics investment? Enterprise BI, agile visualization, smart BI, cloud, and big data. Those are the 5 core pillars that we are developing against within the analytics portfolio and keep further extending the SAP BI portfolio by these 5 pillars. And you will see several of those points ongoingly coming back in our What's New discussion today. So what are the teams that we have been building against for the 4.2 build? First one is simplify. simplify the life of IT, analysts and end users. Enhance the experience of the BI portfolio by further creating enhancements, but also improving and enhancing the access into SAP BW and SAP HANA. And of course, we ongoingly keep innovating our platforms. We have new platform support, we have new customization and a developer experience available within BI 4.2. So if you want to take 5 points home by the end of today, I'm pretty serious that most of our attendees and most of our customers today are saying these are the top 5 items for BI 4.2. First one, SAP HANA Online. Second one, direct access into SAP HANA views. Commenting, a recycle bin, and parallel data provider refresh for web intelligence. And to go through those points, I'm not going to spend too much time at this moment. We'll go through that a bit later when I go through the rest of the slides. So on a high level, what do we have new? And that is just a teaser of what we will get throughout the rest of the session. So let's start looking into what is new in the BI platform itself. So the Enterprise Platform Suite. As I said, we have those 3 buckets: simplification, enhancement, and innovation/performance in this area. So in the platform, we added several simplifications for IT by driving user notification. We added a recycle bin, publication, and we enhanced the RESTful API. But also we added a commentary service on the platform. We improved upgrade management further down the road. We added an administrator cockpit, and we made improvements in promotion management. Those improvements in promotion management have also been resulting in a performance improvement, as well as improvements in audit and installer to make it better and faster. So what is user notification? A user notification can help you to drive information, broadcast information to a user or a user group, or even all users that are currently using your platform. So you can create a notification. In example, there has to be applied a critical patch on your operating system. You have to bring it down for whatever reason. You can broadcast to your end users, please refrain from using the system by X amount and by X time slot, so you can share that information and reduce the load on your support desk because people try to access a system that becomes unavailable. The recycle bin. It helps IT administrators to restore accidentally deleted content. Still often happens that users by accident delete content. Restoring this content within the existing solutions is rather time consuming. With the introduction of the recycle bin, the administrator can easily undo a deleted document, just like we are familiar with, for instance with Windows or even on other operating systems where you have a recycle bin functionality. And documents will be automatically removed after a particular set threshold. And by default in the platform today, that's 30 days. An enhancement on the publication level, where there was often still instances being created if a publication was running although there were no recipients. If there's no recipients at the end, the publication now will not generate instances and make your maintenance of your instance and publication a lot easier. Also, the logging file has been massively improved for the use case of dynamic recipients. The RESTful API has been further enriched to enable support for user management, publication, and the upload or download of SAP BI document/content. We introduced the commentary solution, the commentary service within the BI platform. It's a service that is provided by the platform and can be consumed by all BI clients that are being attached to the platform. It's centralized and managed by the rights as assigned in the CMS. Further enhancement for a BI administrator is the administrator cockpit. It's a visualization page with the key information about the health of your BI platform. You can drill down into various details and all from one single point to see how many users are logged on, what's the health of my services, how many are up, how many are down, what is my number of instances running, how many schedules do we are running, how many schedules have been failing, what are the reasons of failing. All this simple information easily accessible by a single page. So no need anymore to navigate through the CMS, go through different pages, through different tabs in the Central Management Console, and by that try to figure out all this information and spending a lot of time on finding out how healthy your system is. Some enhancements on the upgrade manager. We learned also that if you have the upgrade manager being running, it was difficult to specify your log level. What some custom settings you had applied on command line settings. We enhanced the upgrade manager UI to have the ability now to specify the log level on the UI. But also, if you run incremental upgrades from your source system into your BI 4.1 or 4.2 system, it was always a challenge sometimes, like I just want to deal with Web Intelligence today or with Crystal reports or with Lumira content. You had to go through a lot of documents anyhow, and there was no filtering option available in the selection screen for objects. So now before you hit the selection screen for objects, you have a filtering option available to only, for instance, visualize those content that has not yet been upgraded or only specified by, for instance, it's a Web Intelligence document or it's a Crystal document. The Do Not Migrate security has been added as a setting as well to easily allow incremental updates, although security has been added on the target system. By that, easier to enable upgrades, especially incremental upgrades within your BI 4.2 targets. Promotion manager has been having some nice enhancements. One of the key enhancements we added in promotion management is the ability to selectively retrieve an object from an LCM BI file. LCM BI files are quite often, unfortunately, being used as a backup environment, especially for backing up just some Web Intelligence documents, some Crystal content, whatsoever content, in case it was accidentally deleted. Okay, we now have a recycle bin, so it's still being able to recover, but still, the use case of LCM BI files are often leveraged for this functionality. The problem was always, you only could import the full LCM BI file, not just one single document out of it. As of BI 4.2, we now allow the functionality to retrieve just a single object out of an LCM BI package that contains multiple objects. On the performance side for promotion management, the dependency computation that was always done in the back end took quite some time and was not really on a point in the workflow which was most commonly sent. So we improved the distribution and the dependency computation, and by that the user workflow go from selection to executing an LCM promotion job has been massively improved. We created a new override workflow that enables better using of the workflow for overriding connections of a universe. The old screens were kind of, well, messy, difficult once in a while to understand, and with the new override workflow, the screens have been improved and easier to consume by your BI administrator. Further improvements on performance, and we added a reduction on the load for the application service. So overall, the performance for promotion management has been improved as well. On the auditing side, we improved the scalability, especially for those users, administrators who have switched on to monitor every event that is monitorable or auditable by the audit engine, and a lot of users were accessing the system. This could lead to some performance degradation overall by creating the auditing data, but also by consuming the audit data. So we did some fine-tuning in the back end of the engines and improved the overall performance of the auditing. But it doesn't end with just the platform itself. We also had introduction into improving the installer. We all know that the installer of the BI platform isn't the fastest in the world. So we need to reduce the overall time. So within the 4.2 release that we're going to release later on in the year as a ramp-up and early next year as a GA version, we made the initial fixes within the installer. First, the introduction was to reduce time it takes before the screens are actually showing up. Secondly, we learned that the CMS goes down basically at the first screens, which is not necessarily needed. So we added a split install functionality where you basically in the first phase start caching all the logic for the installer, putting all the binaries in memory, putting all the binaries in the right location. Then we stop in the second phase the CMS, start applying the patches and bring the CMS up again. So the amount of time it takes for the install is not necessarily reduced by that. You just spread the workload. So you split basically the caching mechanism and the real execution of the patch by two phases. So you can do some prep work, run the patch on a shorter time frame with a shorter downtime. We also improved the error reporting in this area. So if the installer was completed, you often had the message successfully completed. However, if you then went through the error report and the install log, you often learned, there were still some issues. So today in the 4.2 installer screen, if you're on the final step, just before saying finish, you now have the option to go into a high-level error reporting, really mentioning just the errors that are being recorded in the log file. So you have an easy and quick access into whether there actually have been a problem with the installer, yes or no. With the 4.0 and the 4.1, it was also a challenge to add additional languages if you had a base install running with, for instance, just English, and wanted to extend later on, for instance, we also need to support French or Chinese or Japanese or whatever language we support. You have to go back to the base installer, add the additional languages, go through the patching engine again, and so on and so on. As of 4.2, we now also support to add additional language if you just apply a support package. So you can plan to extend your existing landscape with additional languages at the moment you just apply support pack and will add the additional languages. Tomcat 8 is now the default web application server, and we also added SQL Anywhere 16 as the default database engine for CMS and all the databases. So far the platform. Let's move to Web Intelligence. What we do in Web Intelligence 4.2. First we did with Trusted Foundation is parallel queries, and the second part is big numbers. We enable the business by using and leveraging the commentary solution, as well as shared elements, geomaps, and visualization extensions. And we improved the backend connectivity in SAP HANA with two different modes. So what is parallel queries? First of all, it's by 4.2 activated by default. So it enables you, if you have multiple queries in Web Intelligence, for instance, you're running 3 queries of Web Intelligence engine, all 3 queries take 10 seconds to refresh. So that's the overall refresh time of Web Intelligence for 30 seconds. As of 4.2, that refresh time will be reduced to 10 seconds because the 3 jobs will run in parallel. If you don't want parallelization of your queries, you can disable it, or you can actually set the maximum numbers of concurrent refreshes being executed against a single connection. And by that, driving a better adoption, driving a higher refresh rate of Web Intelligence by just simply adding parallel queries. There are some limitations still so far. Parallel queries does not work yet if the data source is BW. So either over the BICS or through the Universe connection with an OLAP engine behind it, the BW functionality is at the GA release not yet supported for BW. Big numbers is one of those challenges you have if you are leveraging, for instance, foreign currency like the Japanese yen. Japanese yen is often a large number, and by that often being added as a decimal times so many million. The problem we had, or challenge we had, and it's not only web intelligence facing this challenge, it's the calculation challenge being handled by the CPUs. Decimal information can only deal with up to 15 decimals. So we added and adopted the decimal floating point format by enabling a precision of 40 digits, and by that enhancing the calculation engine to calculate numbers that are being considered as big numbers, so over 16 decimals in a number. That meant also we added some functions to convert into the decimal format, and we have a contextual menu being added to convert and measure into a decimal format to consume this new way of calculating the large decimal numbers. As the platform provided now a commentary service, we enable Web Intelligence to consume this commentary service, so the business users will now be able to add, view, and remove comments. And these comments are not being rendered in Web Intelligence, they're just being visualized in Web Intelligence and being serviced by the platform service as already discussed earlier on. So today Web Intelligence is the sole BI client consuming the service. In the near future we plan to extend this into other products as well, like Design Studio, like SAP Lumira, and potentially Crystal Reports for Enterprise. So that provides a shared commentary solution over all BI clients supported by the SAP BusinessObjects portfolio. We also added the functionality we call shared elements, which enables sharing of content parts, report content parts, with other users as a shared element. So an example, you create a rather fancy, complex Web Intelligence chart in your report, and that chart is to be leveraged in multiple reports. Instead of building that chart every time over and over again, or even with copy and paste functionality, that works quite nice, you still have to go into the report, maintain potentially multiple versions of the same chart. With shared elements, you can just share that chart as a shared element. You store it as a shared element, and if you build a new Web Intelligence report where you want to have that chart in, you just add that shared element into that chart, into that new report. If you then update just the shared element, all reports consuming that shared element will be updated as well. So reducing the costs, reducing the complexity of reports by using shared elements and being consumed by other reports. Also requested as well the ability for Web Intelligence to leverage geographic information. So we added within Web Intelligence the geographic engine as being provided by, for instance, also SAP Lumira. So we integrated the geographical database as well, which contains country, region, sub-region, and cities that are larger than 100,000 inhabitants. Which also drove to new geographic visualizations like the GeoGlorifat, the GeoBubble, and the GeoPie charts. And by that enabling a creation of geographic hierarchy into your relational data and being visualized against the GeoMap within Web Intelligence. The visualization engine extension enables every consumer to add third-party visualizations, which are serviced as an HTTP engine. You can insert and consume that in any Web Intelligence element, and you have to configure essentially by the central management console. But with adding the visualization extension, you can easily further drive additional visualizations with the BI 4.2 platform. So on the back-end integration, we added two very cool solutions. First solution is the ability to direct access SAP HANA views. So normally what you had to do if you consumed HANA within the Web Intelligence, first had to go into the IDT, create a universe, export the universe, and then start consuming it in Web Intelligence. Oh wait, we just created a change in our analytical view in HANA, so we have to redo the universe, update the Web Intelligence document. With direct access, you don't need to create the universe anymore. And just like consuming the BIX connector for BW, we create on the fly a transient universe that's being consumed by Web Intelligence, where an end user doesn't have to bother about. So it supports the hierarchies, it supports the requirement of no altering of a universe. And it will work with both relational connection as well as the OLAP connection against SAP HANA. If you want to consume hierarchies, you have to use the OLAP connection, as the relational connection doesn't understand the hierarchies. The second cool feature is, if you leverage HANA, you potentially want to leverage the full power of HANA. So what did we do with Web Intelligence as well, is connecting directly into the SAP HANA and delegate all the calculations back into SAP HANA. So you don't have a query panel. You're not having a microcube. Web Intelligence only retrieves the amount of data that's required to present the visualization you request as a Web Intelligence designer. And in case you want to further enhance the report with non-HANA online data, you always have the ability to go to standard mode. Then it will start consuming the direct access to HANA View functionality as just described previously. And you can further down the road start extending your SAP HANA Online with additional data. But it will revert back to SAP direct access on HANA. So that was the most important part for Web Intelligence. But we also did some change and enhancement in the semantic layer. And there are two enhancements for the semantic layer. First one is linked universes, where we have the linked universe functionality now in the information design tool, which is basically equal to the existing linked universe functionality in the old UNV universe, driven by the universe design tool. So if you have a core UNX that are functions then consumed into a derived universe, all changes that you create in your core UNX are automatically propagated into the derived universes. The derived universe, nevertheless, is an independent universe and can be amended according business requirements. So it would enable you to build a default universe throughout, for instance, your SAP ERP system, build a default set, provide it to the various business teams, where they can create their own variation based on top of the default set. So if the default change is due to a back-end change, for instance, in ECC, you only have to manage your core universe, and it derives automatically up to the all universes above, just like we have today in the UNV. The second addition in the semantic layer is to create an altered BW universe. So what does that mean? So although we build in this very cool direct access into BW with Web Intelligence, directly consuming the BICS engine, we learned that also customers like, actually editing the universe wasn't really a pain point. It also enables us to rename and regroup or delete objects that we don't want from the SAP BEX query. So within the 4.2 altered BW universe, we still utilize the BICS connector and by that fully leverage the SAP BW performance, but still enable the IT department to fiddle around, for instance, some naming conventions or some grouping functionalities which are not necessarily available in the BEX engine. We also improved Crystal Reports for Enterprise. There are some additional features being created. And one of those, for instance, is the vertical alignment of text, QR and barcode support, waterfall charts, and direct-to-data enhancements. So the vertical alignment sounds right logical. It's actually one of the #1 questions, #1 voted IDs from the IDs place. But it's one of those nice examples where it's like ID place actually works, because this is one of the top number rated for any Crystal Report question. Vertical alignment was the #1 by far. So it enables you to set the vertical alignment of a text file. We added support for QR code and barcode, which is basically a catch-up functionality from Crystal reports. The same with the waterfall chart. It's also a catch-up functionality as it was already available in Crystal Report 2013. Oops, that was the wrong direction. We added additional data sources that can be leveraged with the direct-to-data. And the direct-to-data, if you're familiar, for instance, with Web Intelligence, is basically equal to freehand SQL. The ability to navigate into direct SQL engine of your data source, write the SQL code, Crystal Report will create a report out of it. Although Crystal Report is in the bucket list of maintenance, does not necessarily mean we're not improving anything anymore. But also for Crystal Reports 2016 we had this functionality for vertical alignment. And we were some limitations on the way how we can show parameter values, conditional formatting, and as well direct-to-data enhancements. So also added in Crystal Reports 2016 this vertical alignment. And the show parameter value is actually a solution that worked quite nicely in Crystal Reports for Enterprise, but didn't really work quite well in Crystal Reports 2013. If you had a parameter list with multiple values, the Crystal Reports 2013 could not show the list of values that were entered during refresh time as values for the query. So now you can add the parameter description even if it's a multiple value of the parameter. So if you had an enlist statement, you now have the ability to properly visualize that values being entered by the end user within the report. Conditional formatting for line and box, where you can easily influence the layout for lines and box based on a condition. So for instance, only add a red line around the box if the value is negative. But also we added enhanced further down, added more data sources to be supported with the direct-to-data. The analysis for OLAP client, ongoingly still investing in it, not yet broken down, not yet fully in maintenance mode for the simple reason it's still massively used. And we still have a lot of requests from customers to further enhance it. So what did we improve in analysis for OLAP in 4.2? We added an HTTP connector for SAP HANA. So it enables you to leverage with analysis for OLAP HANA data exactly the same way as Analysis Office does. So it's a new OLAP connection that you can define in the Central Management Console, and it supports also HANA SPN 9 and SPS 10 with the GA release. We also added alias table support in Essbase, and by that drive improved connectivity to Oracle Essbase, and it supports for Oracle Essbase 9 and 11. On the BW side, we added currency conversion natively driven by SAP BW. So if you have currency conversion available in your BEX query and the translation is available, Analysis for OLAP can push back the currency conversion to the SAP BW engine and get instead, for instance, for US dollars, the at that point of time valid currency translation into an example a euro. Also, if you were sorting on a hierarchy, the hierarchy was always taking the lead into the sorting. But if you really want, like, I just want to sort on my level 3, it was never ever breaking the hierarchy, and it was still sorting based on the hierarchy levels. New functionality being added is break hierarchy, which enables you basically to break the hierarchy and just sort on the values that you want. Some enhancement in mobile BI. The main one is actually the ability on the platform level, as there are more enhancements in mobile BI, but they're not depending on the BI platform. The BI platform now supports the ability to broadcast admin messages to the mobile BI client, so that's hooked up to the notification engine. But also the ability to subscribe to push alerts on document updates and to subscribe on push alerts for new BI inbox documents. And we just leverage the Apple subscription model for that one. On the SDK, we further down the road extended the SDK functionality. So we added a whole list of new functionalities. I already provided in the platform slide. We have now an SDK, RESTful Web Service SDK, for publication engine, for adding, modifying, or removing users, but also for downloading or importing content into the SAP BI platform. But there are many more being added and updated within 4.2. And for the full list, I'm happily referring you into the L2 deck, where I have a longer list of functionality that we added. A quickly high-level user management, content management, open document, translation manager, and crystal reports SDK have been further enhanced. On the ongoing process of new operating systems, new browsers, and so on, we also added, of course, new support for operating systems like Windows 10 support, for browsers like the new Windows 10 Edge browser for Microsoft, application servers like Tomcat 8, further down support for CMS and all the database on HANA SP9, SP10, SQL Anywhere 16, later versions of SQL Server, and so on and so on. Update on the Java stack, further improvements of LDAP, which is actually a quite interesting one, the LDAP functionality. We saw often a request from customers to have support of Active Directory functionality, so that's the Active Directory and Security tab, actually. If you were running your BI stack on Linux, you could not integrate into Active Directory. Simple fact is that we didn't support it. However, we already had a workaround available, which was actually written by our support team, so we leveraged that one, validated it, and prototyped functionality. And with 4.2, you have the ability now to deploy your BI system fully on a Linux or a Unix system and still consume Active Directory as a single sign-on methodology. On the data access, we further improved the connectivity in several data sources, big data sources, Salesforce.com, OData. We improved the security settings on the data access. We improved the web services for data access, and further more data access levels. We improved the connectivity into SAP ECC as well as BW, as well as several big data sources. And again, for exact details, I'm happy to forward you over to a level 2 deck where there's more specific information about the exact ones that are being enhanced for 4.2. It's a long list, so unfortunately I don't know them all off the top of my head. So that was on high level the new things that we are planning for 4.2. They're probably all going to question, when will we get it? When do we get BI 4.2? When can I start playing around? When can I start installing? When can I start moving over to 4.2? So we plan today to start up the 4.2 ramp up on November 16th. So that's between now and 3 weeks. And if you're interested, you can nominate yourself, you can nominate your customers for the early adopter program, which is basically ramp up, by the link as provided. And I'll quickly share it into the chat as well later on. Based on the result of ramp up, we currently are targeting a general availability for the end of Q1 or early Q2 next year. So if you are looking for BI 4.2 as being the platform to migrate or upgrade into from your XI or XI 3.1 systems, I would strongly recommend to start really looking into adopting BI 4.1 SP6 today, because we're going to end support of our XI platform as well as BI 4.0 by the end of this year. So if we make it by end of Q1 for 4.2, that will mean that you will be running 3 months on an unsupported, unmaintained platform. If you're okay with those risks, please take them. But if you are running into issues during your upgrade from XI 3.1 or 4.0 into the BI 4.2 platform, we may turn down your support request. because you're running an unsupported version. Upgrading or updating 4.1 SP6 into 4.2 is like applying a support package. It's not like previously XI 3.0 to XI 3.1. Frames is installed, move content over. No, it's just like we did with 4.0, 4.1 and 4.2. There are accumulated patches that are available that you can download as a patch installer and just apply on your existing 4.1 system, and you're being upgraded to BI 4.2. Some key links that we share. Community network, roadmaps where you can find them, product documentation, product availability matrix, our maintenance schedule where you can find the exact end of mainstream maintenance dates, which are 31st of December 2015 for XI 3.1 as well as BI 4.0, and some more and some more and some more. And where to go if you have product feedback or IDs. As I mentioned, there are some examples in the 4.2 deck. We do listen to our customers. We do listen to the IDs place. Several topics that are in the 4.2 engine are actually all coming from IDs place. So if you have product requests, IDs that you want to be embedded in the BI 4.2 future releases, please notify yourself on IDs place. Check if the functionality request is already there, vote on it. The more votes we have on IDs place, the bigger the chances we can push out development to get it done. If you want to influence more, go to the service.sap.com/influence website, where you can see which kind of influence programs are available within your region. It also combines the information how to subscribe to those influence programs. And another way of influencing the direction of the BI portfolio is by the SAP user groups. If you're not yet a member of a SAP user group, just go to sapusergroups.com and you'll find the respective user groups within your region. And if you're looking for the slides that we've been presented today, the top link is for the L1 as being presented today. An even higher level is available as L1, and a more detailed level can be found as L2 on SCN as well. If you want to look up all the versions of BusinessObjects What's New, there's a What's New collection available by the link below, where you can find like the SP6, 5, 4, 3 and so on, available all nicely listed as one single page, so you don't have to start searching SCN for all the versions of the What's New deck. You can easily quickly access them by the What's New collection. Tim around this recycle bin initially wants support third-party users. The plan is definitely yes. Today we only support corporate folders and corporate documents. We definitely are planning to further enhance the recycle bin to also have inbox documents and favorite documents, but also other users that are part of the platform, so like a BW or an LDAP entity. The sweater is a particular service or server-side change requirement for the admin cockpit. No, the information is being collected based on the SDK directly from the engines, so there's no need to add additional functionality. It's out of the box available. You just click in it as a tab within the central management console and you get your insights. Today the BI admin cockpit is rather static, so it is as it is. We plan to further enhance this. Then we have Arun. I want to connect existing universe to multi-connection UNX. I guess with 4.1 this is not possible. Any plan? Multi-connection, what do you mean? A multi-connection is a multi-source? If that is the case, you cannot convert a single-source universe into a multi-source universe. But the simple reason is that we use different languages for multi-source. Multi-source leverages the data federator engine and has by that some specific language around it. So there is no one-to-one upgrade available from a single source to a multi-source universe. We have a dashboard with gets data from AutoDB. We need to modify it to 4.2. No, there hasn't been a change in the schema itself. So you can continue leveraging the existing schema, except of a potential change into SQL Anywhere 16. SQL Anywhere 16 is just a change in the connection, and the connection will be automatically upgraded if you move over. When you apply 4.2 on a 4.1, will it automatically upgrade Tomcats from 7 to 8? On my system, it did. Parallel queries are supported for BW, not yet. So we're not yet supporting BW as a data connection for parallel queries. We are working on it for the BIX engine. Whether we can add it for the universe level, we don't know yet. But at this point of time, with the GA release, we will not do parallel queries if your data source is as a BBW. For the introduction of parallel queries and specifically on the sizing of the APS, potentially, not potentially only limits to the adaptive processing services. You also may need to have a look into your data sources, whether they are able to actually deal with the amount of load that's being added. Although the amount of load is typically not being increased, it's just it's being done all the same time. So it could potentially mean you have to look into your adaptive processing server where they are still properly sized for the amount of memory being consumed, but also please check with your database backend that is running your reporting databases whether this can be covered. If not, reduce the amount of connections or even disable parallel queries by the configuration. Can we apply security to shared elements? The shared element is just like the normal objects. So if you have a shared element which is stored in a particular folder, only the users that have rights on those folders will be able to actually leverage the shared element. The shared element itself doesn't contain any data, just the metadata like query, layout, UI settings, and so on. So at the time you import it into a document, it will have to be refreshed against the particular user's profile. What's the context of comments? At the moment, the context will not be adopted in the 4.2 GA release. That's being added into a subsequent support package where we will start with parameter values, dimension, but also further down the road based on section and even the ability to add just a comment on a particular chart. At the moment, it's just pure report level. From Martina, is it possible to use latitude and longitude instead of city name? Again, not at this point of time. We actually looking and discussing with the development team to further revamp the geographical engine, and this is definitely one of them that we are discussing. When it is possible to use Lumira on Unix-based servers, we're looking to Lumira add-on for BIP. Is currently planned for mid next year. So we are working on Unix and Linux-based support for Lumira for BIP. However, it's not yet confirmed exactly whether it will be Q2 or Q3. We are targeting to achieve parity between HTML and Java. Oh, definitely, that's one of our top items. So every new functionality being provided in 4.2 is both available in the HTML as well as the Java applet. And starting with the upcoming sequential support packages after the J release, we're going to further down the road achieve the parity in the HTML applet one by one. Are the SDK enhanced to the .NET or the Java? Mostly on the Java SDK. The .NET SDK is not necessarily being enhanced as we are currently focusing on providing the RESTful web services, which is platform independent. When are things in common differences within 4.2? Orca, or better said, Cloud for Analytics, is a pure cloud-driven solution built on top of HANA and has, in that regard, hardly any commonality within the BI 4.2 release. The only ability we can do so far today with Orca or Cloud for Analytics is the ability to publish a Lumira dataset into Cloud for Analytics, and that's so far. What about the license for Lumira will be included into BI? So Lumira, if you have the BI Suite license, is already covered by the BI Suite license. So if you have a BI Suite license, you are entitled to use SAP Lumira. Mobile equal mobile as default part of the platform. If you have the Suite license, you can consume the mobile support for both iOS or Android. Mobile support for Android also for 2016 to be planned with parity compared to iOS. Daryl here about 4.1 ends support of this year. That is completely correct. By the end of this year, we'll support the mainstream maintenance support for XI 3.1 as well as BI 4.0 will end. So if you're still on 4.0, please start considering an update to BI 4.1 SP6. Joe, will there be a 64-bit rich client? Unfortunately, no. I asked for it, I challenged for it, I fight for it, but unfortunately I didn't get it. Can you list any third-party visualizations tool that will be compatible with Web Intelligence? So we're currently working with several partners that are going to build some custom visualizations. We already have several available. If you go into Web Intelligence 4.2, actually there is now on the left bottom side of the screen a click where you go to the SAP Marketplace, where you can have a look into the already available visualization extensions that we support and being provided by partners, and where we potentially also have the additional custom visualization engine available. How does security work for direct HANA view consumption? Security will be leveraged by the HANA platform, so if a user connects into HANA with his or her user account, it will automatically adopt all user settings and security settings be applied by SAP HANA. The cost for geo-mapping or visualization in 4.2. The geo-mapping that we have is embedded in our visualization engine, and by that not adding additional cost. Unless you want a more fancier one, we have partners who provide additional geo-mapping functionality. The geo-mapping, if we ask, will there be satellite pictures? So at this point of time, the CVOM does not support like Google Maps or Street Maps, OpenStreetMaps.org or something like that. For that, we currently leverage partner technology, which is available in SAP Marketplace to connect into. Enhanced recycle bin for 4.2 to include user folders. That will not be SP1, as SP1 will be still ramp up. Current plan is SP2 to be GA, so the earliest point that we can add is user folder support, and currently to my knowledge is also planned for SP3, which will be the first support package after GA. Can we do an upgrade from XI R2 SP2 into BI 4.2 directly? Yes. XI R2 SP2 is the minimum version to be upgraded directly into 4.2. I would still strongly recommend you to start already looking into upgrading to 4.1 SP6 and then later adopt 4.2 as you are already out of support. How many weeks after the release of 4.2? Well, SP1 will not be the GA release. We're currently looking SP2 to be the GA release. And depending on how much time on when SP2 is being released or when the product goes GA, we can only at that point of time, but typically it's a 6-month cycle that we are releasing our support packages. So we can expect if we have a release of Q1 for SP2 equals to the general availability build, we could consider around 6 months later to have the SP3 release being done. Licensing is go to maintain for all BI tools. As I said, if you have the BI Suite license, every product part of the BI Suite will be supported by your license. If you have further questions about your license, please talk to your account executive. In one of the last seminars we told contacts have to be rebuilt. Contacts from universes. If you convert from UNV to UNX, or when do you lose it? And if that is the case for you, please open up a support message. Active single sign-on, yes, so the improvement has been made that you can now have Active Directory integration into BI if you are running your CMSs on Linux. So previously you had to have your CMSs be running on Windows to enable Active Directory. And with 4.2 you can also do that from a Linux or Unix environment. And that's the main change. And by that enabling single sign-on, if you have SiteMinder in place.